Hello, my name is John B Hedges. I'm the composer of Prayers of Rain and Wind, and with me is...
Joseph Conyers, Assistant Principal Double Bass of the Philadelphia Orchestra, and I am delighted to be here working with Aaron Freeman and your Richmond Symphony this weekend.
So we thought that today we would share some information about the piece and also play a little bit so that you could be a little more prepared for this weekend. Joseph, why don't you talk a little bit about what the first movement is about and depicts?
The first movement of the piece, and one of the reasons I like this piece is because it's very, very picturesque. It takes my hometown of Savannah, Georgia, and brings it to life through music. So imagine the hottest day. It gets hot in Richmond, but it gets really hot in Savannah. Hot, humid. Actually, as a matter of fact, one of the tempo markings, the tempo is the speed of the piece, one of the tempo markings of the piece is oppressively muggy.
We can show you that here. Here, we'll come in here. See, it says oppressively muggy. He wasn't lying.
It's very picturesque of the air, stillness, this heaviness. And so through the first part of the first movement, what we're trying to do is it's kind of like you're outside and you're sweating and you're just wanting some relief, which eventually comes at the end of the piece. But I think why don't we try to set up this picture of this hot, this oppressive, this humidity, and the way the piece opens up.
Sure. So in this excerpt, you're going to hear two of the main themes of the piece. The first, the piano will state, which will be wind players in the orchestra. It's kind of like this. And you'll hear that movement, that motif a lot throughout the whole entire piece. And then the second one will be a theme that Joseph will play when he first enters, and these are two of the absolute kernels of the entire work. So he kind of sings that line, da-dyan, da-da-da-dyan, and he'll actually play it better than I sing it. All right, let's try it.
So that's how the piece begins. Very, very, very kind of this with these beautiful colors, but kind of stagnant at the same time. One of the neat things that makes this piece unique is its second movement, which also goes to Savannah, Georgia, my hometown. But it highlights a tradition in the African American Baptist Church, which is called lining hymns. And lining hymns is a tradition that's been actually originated in Wales, but it was actually picked up during slavery and actually still continue today. And I grew up hearing these lined hymns every Sunday morning in church. John B picked up on that idea and kind of creates this whole fantasy-like movement of this improvisatory feel. So actually in the performance this weekend, you will see members of the orchestra actually improvising their own lines. And there's even a section of the piece where the members of the orchestra will be humming to accompany me doing a prayer during the middle of the piece. John B, why don't we try to play the opening of that movement, and so you can get a sense of what that might feel like. The rest you'll have to hear this weekend. But it's a really magical part of the piece. And then why don't you tell us a little bit about the conclusion?
Well, embedded in all three movements are these prayers, and they kind of go throughout. And the first one, of course, is that kind of desperate need for rain and relief. And you kind of hear a motive throughout the whole piece that comes in each of these prayers, which we hear, which is actually... And that's kind of the essential prayer motif that you'll hear throughout. And you just heard it actually in that last bit there. And then the second movement, of course, that version of the traditional lined hymn and the prayer that goes with that traditionally. And the third is another form of weather, which is one of Joseph's personal passions, to those who know him best. And it's a hurricane. So essentially the metaphor of the last movement is a hurricane. And of course, it gets really raucous and kinetic, and embedded in that is, of course, a prayer of relief from the damage and the destruction of the hurricane. And then we actually see this motive from the first movement transformed into "Great is thy faithfulness," as we see this kind of hymn come out of all of these prayers, which happen to be Joseph's mother's favorite hymn. So that's the reason we have it in there, to basically make his mom happy.
That's right.
And of course, it has a really exciting conclusion, a lot of jazzy elements, and kind of rip-roaring end. And last but not least, and this is for all of you Brahms fans, we've embedded a little something into it, because we found out during the process of preparing for me to write this piece that we both love the Brahms G major violin sonata. So we're going to play a little bit of it for you now, just the first 4 bars, and see if you can find it, particularly in the first movement when you come to listen. You will never hear it played like this again. You heard it first. Brahms Violin Sonata on a bass by Joseph Conyers. Can't wait for you to come and hear it this weekend. Hope you guys love it.
Really hope you can make it this weekend. There'll be a lot of really exciting things happening on stage. Get to bring a little bit of Savannah to Richmond. I'll get to bring my church home to Richmond, and a hurricane, musically speaking, to Richmond. So be there. Don't miss it.